Hi guys, welcome back to another Siege of My House video. This is a review for a game that I have beaten. If you've read the title, you know what the game is. It is Klonoa, Phantasy Reverie series. And I'm gonna get into the good, a little bit of bad, but mostly good with this game. But first I kinda wanted to cover... Turn up the music a bit. Playing relaxing Klonoa music is going to be one of the discussion points. Klonoa has fantastic music. So this game was announced last year or a couple of years back. They did a big announcement trailer and a lot of people on the internet freaked out. And it made me kind of think about how, you know, as far as gaming is concerned, if you're like a retro gamer, this is kind of like not the golden age, because we're not living in the past, but kind of like a return to the golden age, where there's so many retro style games, there's so many like remakes and remastered collections and stuff. It's really never been easier to access these old games. And even just thinking about 10 years ago, when I was really getting into retro games, if this had been announced 10 years ago in 2013, this would have been a day one purchase for me, no matter what system it was on. Because it would be a situation where I'd never played either of these games. I'd always been very interested in it because they have a really die-hard fan base that speaks their praises, and I would have really wanted to play them, especially new ones. But these days, this got announced and I heard about it and I thought, if I can find it for cheap, I'll grab it. Because this came out, and when this came out in Australia, this was $89.95, I think, which is pretty expensive even for a Switch game. Even first-party Switch games tend to only go for about that $79, $69 region. $89.95, I think there's only been a couple of Switch games that have retailed at that really high end. I remember Witcher 3 when it came out was that expensive, and this one was that expensive too. So I held off on it and was able to get it for a price I was pretty happy to pay, $49 there. Brand new. I thought that was a pretty good price. I could get a pre-owned copy for $36, but there was none in my area, so I grabbed one for $47. And at that price, about $50, I think you get your money's worth. This is a collection of two games, Klonoa Door to Phantomile and Klonoa 2 Lunatia's Veil. And they're not long games at all. They've got a lot of replay value, there's a lot of collectibles to get within the levels themselves. But as far as value for your money, you might get, if you're really, really into this, you might get 6 to 8 hours worth of gameplay experience for the whole two games. But at $50, I think that's pretty good. You know, less than $10 an hour. I think that's pretty good. That's not bad. And so, what are these games? This is a collection of two games released. The first one was released on the PS1 in 1997, and the second one was a PS2 game in 2001. Now, my only experience with these games prior to this collection, I knew they existed. And I actually have owned the Wii game for quite a while. Let's see if I can find it here. I owned the Wii game, and I dabbled into it a little bit. I played a level here and there, but it didn't really grab me for whatever reason. And other than that, Klonoa 2 I played on a demo disc back in the day. One of my first gaming experiences was a PS2 demo disc, which had playable demos of Klonoa 2, Smackdown Shut Your Mouth, and a few other games. I think there was a game that was similar to Jet Set Radio, but you were on a hoverboard, which was pretty interesting. But that was my only real exposure to the series. I always knew it was popular in the right circles and that a lot of people felt like it was a really great, underrated series that never really got its chance to really shine, even though it had 3 or 4 games released. I think it had 2 games on the Game Boy Advance. Those are not on this collection, unfortunately. Klonoa Beach Volleyball and another Klonoa platformer. These are the 2 main games in the series, both of which are 2D platformers, kind of like a Mario Brothers style game, but actually really similar to like a new Super Mario style game where, you know, you're on a 2D going left to right, but it's all 3D characters. And it's pretty interesting to play. Sometimes it'll mix with the perspective. Your main way to deal with enemies is you have a ring, and when you punch an enemy with the ring, the enemy like inflates like a balloon and goes above your head. And you can use that enemy to do a double jump, or you can like fire that enemy at another enemy to defeat them. You can't do this with every enemy. Some enemies have spikes, some enemies are like bigger and need to be knocked out before they can be defeated. But the real main gameplay of this game is to grab an enemy, hold it overhead, and then throw it, and use it to springboard as well. You can throw things kind of in the background and in the foreground as well. It's pretty interesting. I've not seen a lot of games that kind of utilize it, but it is very cool to play. I've played the first game through completion and thought it was very, very good. I thought the boss battles were really fun. The final boss battle is really excellent. Like a 3-stage, it builds and builds these bigger boss enemy every time you defeat it, and you start wondering, man, what's it gonna take to finally beat this thing? It's not a difficult game. I played it on the normal difficulty for both titles, and cleared it pretty easily. There were a few levels where I had to go through again just because of a little bit difficult platforming. There is some difficult platforming in this game. Klonoa can do a like hover jump after his springboard, which is a little bit useful, but sometimes you need to be kind of pixel perfect to make these jumps. Yeah, the first game's really good. I can definitely see it being a product of its time where, especially after you play the second game, which is more of the same, but they add a lot. In the first game, it's really, really good. I can definitely see why people wanted more of these games. So, I'd say the first game is a little bit better than the second game in terms of like its boss battles and overall pacing. You go level to level. It's not like an open world or nothing. It's a very old style game where you're going from level to level. You've got an overworld map and you kind of go between each level to play it. You don't really get that kind of style nowadays. Nowadays everything is kind of interconnected. You'll have a big overworld. But back in the day, you know, this is all we had. If you were playing a platformer, you had the overworld, you just went level to level. Thankfully, levels are easily replayable. There's a lot of collectibles in each level to find. You find these little characters that have been kidnapped by the big bad. I'll be completely honest, after maybe the first 4 levels, I started skipping the cutscenes. The story was not grabbing me. I was not interested in it at all. I thought it was really slow, really long for cutscenes. There's a new cutscene for every level. I guess it's interesting if you're into the story and stuff, but I'm really only interested in the game itself, like the core gameplay elements. I'm the kind of person where even when I play a big open world game, I'm more or less ignoring the main quest in order to just explore the world and take it in and just have fun. So the storyline, I kind of got the gist of it. There was a big bad, you were in a new universe, Klonoa was trying to beat Big Bad, I don't know. Same with the second game, I found myself just skipping the cutscenes. A lot of very cute characters. My wife really liked the cute characters in this game. But I think the core element, the core hook of this game is going to be the gameplay. You're not really playing this game for like a intricate, detailed story, you know? You're a cute furry creature running around and jumping and, you know, you don't play a Mario game for the story. You play it for the gameplay and the cool levels. That's what you play it for. But as you go through the game, there's a lot of collectibles to find. You're saving these characters that have been kidnapped in every level, and if you get... There's really no reward for getting all of them. In the second game, they try to balance it out by giving you a kind of reward for finding all of the characters, and in the first game I did save all of the different characters in the levels because I thought maybe it would unlock something at the end, but it didn't seem to do anything. There's also 150 coins to collect in each level. I think it was 150. And I didn't even try to do that. I thought, I'm really going to be hunting for them if I do that, and it's... I guess you can stretch out the game length if you're really, really enjoying it, if you're fully soaked in and you want to replay the levels over and over. You can go in and try and get all of the coins and stuff, but I didn't really find it necessary. Even the little hostages and stuff, I was only grabbing them because I found them along the way, and by the time I got near the middle of the game, I saw that I'd saved all of the hostages in all of the levels, so I thought, oh, well, I might as well just... It'll take a few minutes extra for each level, I'm enjoying doing it, so I'll save them throughout the whole game, and I did it. In the second game, I wasn't rushing through the game, but I was definitely trying to finish it. In the second game, I didn't save all of the hostages, but in most of the levels I saved all of them. But if I missed one and I had no earthly idea where it could be, I didn't bother to look it up and go back and try again. So probably the biggest change between the first game and the second game is that the second game utilizes more kind of 3D aspects. There's a lot more areas where like the camera's moving and you're going through twisting platforms and stuff. It is very interesting, and there's a lot more kind of playing with the background and stuff. In the second game, there's a lot of levels where you enter these cannons that shoot you into the background, and now you're in the background doing stuff, and I really like that stuff. Because I'm always looking in the background in games to see, like, what's there, and I always think about, like, say you go to a mountaintop in a game, you look out over it, and you just want to go to, like, the farthest point. I really like that kind of stuff in games, so it was really cool that a game like this was accommodating to that. But probably the biggest change, other than that, for the second game, was these kind of Tony Hawk's inspired levels. There are these levels where, and this is what I remember from the demo, there's a lot of levels where you're on like a snowboard or like just like a snowboard and you're going through these levels. There's both standard platforming, kind of left to right levels, and there's also a kind of a Tony Hawk's third-person kind of view, where it's a bit more open, you can go kind of wherever you want on the little level, and you're going forward. Kind of like an SSX or a game like that, where it's like a snowboarding kind of game, so I guess the creators of this game were really influenced by those games, and that's fine. I actually enjoy it because it mixes up the levels a lot. Something I found with the first game is that nearish the end, I was getting a little bit tired of platforming. I thought the game isn't very long, but when it's 2.5, 3 hours of nothing but jumping on platforms, you want something to mix it up. And in the first game, you got really good boss battles. In the second game, you're getting like snowboarding levels, and I thought it did well to mix it up. One thing I will say, there are a couple of exceptions, but I thought that the bosses in the first game were significantly better than the second game. Especially the end boss. I thought the second game's end boss was really disappointing, unfortunately. I thought a good end boss would have really tied the game together, but it just wasn't there for whatever reason. I was expecting this big epic battle, this multi-stage battle, and instead it was 2 stages. You know, you beat one boss and then you beat the other one, but both of them are very easy. Even on normal difficulty, they're very easy. Really easy to read patterns, not really a lot of challenge, which is what I found with the second game. It's not as challenging as the first game. What I do like more about the second game is that there's more of these sections where the camera is moving around and you're getting these really cool perspectives. There's this really good boss battle. I believe it's in the second game. You're in a carnival level, and the boss of this section is this really gigantic creature, like robot. And you have to jump on to these platforms which spring you super high in the air. And it's really cool, it's really exhilarating, very fun to battle the boss in this way. Where you can only hit him, because he's so tall, you can only hit him by jumping over him. He's like the size of a building or something. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I do think the first game's a little bit better, but I think both games are really, really great. The music in these games are fantastic, very fitting for each level. It's hard to kind of explain. I'm not really a music person, but when I hear music I like, I can say that I enjoy it. I thought every track really fit the setting. You've got like snow levels with Christmassy style music. The carnival levels have this upbeat kind of carnival music. I just thought it was really great. The music is really great to listen to. I'm listening to it right now, the relaxing Klonoa music. I thought they really helped to tie the levels together. What else can I say about it? I think that's kind of all I have to say about it. The graphics in the remasters are really, really good. You can play a pixelated versions of the game, but unfortunately it's not the originals. I remember what I really liked about the Crash Bandicoot, and I think they had this in the Spyro trilogy as well, the 2 remasters for them, is that you can play the remastered game, but if you wanted to, you can quickly switch back to the old style of game as well, where it's like, okay, now you're playing the PS4 version, but now here's what it looked like on the PS1, and it's the exact same level. You can switch between them on the fly. With this one, they don't really have that. They have a pixelation mode, which doesn't really work the same way, unfortunately. It just makes everything look like shit. Which is unfortunate, because Klonoa on PS1 is a good-looking game. It didn't look pixelated and horrible. It was like a high-end title of the time. So it's kind of unfortunate that they don't accommodate that. Other than that, I think it's a little bit disappointing that they don't have the Game Boy Advance games on this. I understand why they don't, because I don't think no one's gonna buy this expecting the Game Boy Advance games. They're only gonna want to play the first 2 games, but I think if you have those titles, they're in your library, and you're making like a remastered collection, just throw them on there. Have it similar to the Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles on PSP, which is another fantastic remaster. If you can add them as unlockable bonuses, say, in Castlevania it was stupid, you had to find them as bonus things throughout the level. I beat the whole game without finding them, so I had to look up online where to get them. But they should have had it where, say you beat one game, you unlock a Game Boy Advance game, something like that. I think that would have really added a bit of value to this, especially since the whole package is only about 8 hours long. It's a bit longer if you were to watch the cutscenes, but yeah, it's something that I would not have recommended for $90, but if you can get it now for $50, I recommend it. This is a title that is going to explode in value. I almost guarantee it. Stuff like this, especially on the Nintendo Switch, stuff like this will be available for a while at full price, and then it'll have one sale. This is the first time I've ever seen this game go on sale, down to $47. It'll sell out everywhere, and then it's gone. and you never see another copy of it. The next time you see it, it's like $100. So I definitely recommend buying this if you can find a copy in that $50 range, because I think it's just going to go back up to its original value of when it was first released, and whether it's worth that or not is up to you. I think if you're a Klonoa fan, or if you're on the fence about this game, you've probably bought and tried this game already. It's available to buy digitally as well, so I guess it'll always be up there for its like $80, $90 price tag if you want to buy it that way. But I'm old school, I love to have a physical copy of something. I don't do digital gaming at all these days. I used to buy games on Steam a bit because they were so cheap, but nowadays I don't use Steam at all. I've got a laptop that can run them, but I don't use Steam at all. It's not for me. But I think that's really all I can say about this game. I definitely give it a recommendation, even if I was a little bit disappointed with a few little things. A couple of little problems don't ruin an overall experience. Let's just say that. Overall, this is a very fun, very enjoyable experience. To sit down and play it, no matter what you've played for it, you are going to have fun, you are going to enjoy yourself. It's just whether you're going to get that kind of value out of the game that you can in other situations. But yeah, that's all for now. See you on my house, bidding you guys farewell. I hope you enjoyed it. I've actually figured out that I've not done an RPG playthrough this year. My last RPG that I played was this one here. The last RPG that I played was Ni no Kuni on the PS4, which I really enjoyed. And I looked up my videos and I thought I'd maybe finished it this year, but no, it was late last year, so I think my next playthrough is going to be of an RPG, because I like to do one big RPG every year. Last year was Ni no Kuni, the year before that it was Earthbound, the year before that it was Chrono Trigger, and I think in one of the years in between then I also did Paper Mario. I've just played it on my phone while I was at work. You know, if I had some downtime or something, or it was my lunch break, just play a bit of it, play it at home as well. I'm definitely going to try and play another RPG this year. I like to do one big RPG a year to hang my hat on, as to hold on to my gaming credibility, because these days I do have a little bit of time, but it's just the energy to sit down and really devote my attention to these games. That's why a game like this is so great, because you can pick it up, play a couple of levels, put it down for a week, then pick it up again and play a couple of levels. It's really great for that. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to play yet, but I'll figure it out. See you at my house, bidding you guys farewell. Have a good one. Thank you for watching. Oh, I've got no pickups to show. I've not been buying many games at all. We've been dealing with a little bit of stuff. We had to put our cat down of 15 years, unfortunately. We got her 13 years ago. She died at 19 years old. She had a previous owner. So we've been going through that, and it was a bit tough, but you know, we're through it now. And yeah, see you at my house, bidding you guys farewell. Hopefully I can make a few more kind of these style videos coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be buying a whole lot of gaming stuff, but maybe with the Christmas sales coming up, there'll be a few games that I'm really interested in. We'll have to wait and see. And obviously, like thrift stores, it's so hard to find games. I still find a lot of DVDs, a bit of CDs and stuff. But as far as like thrift stores, I mean, even if I do find games at the op shops, it's stuff I have or stuff that I'm just buying to sell. It's so rare to find something that I want for my collection in an op shop, or even a cash converters, which, I'll be honest, I don't visit cash converters at all anymore. Maybe once a month. It's just not... The prices in there are crazy, the titles are nothing. You know, you're paying almost above eBay prices for titles that are not worth buying at all. I've got a local retro game shop. They've always got a lot of good stuff, but I don't go in very often. I don't want to spend heaps and heaps of money there. I'm a cheapskate forever. You guys know it. Right, Sigma House, bidding you guys farewell. Have a good one.